Thank you, Zelda. I had to come up with a name for who that voice was when they did this now. So I'm now calling this person Zelda.
Zelda. Thank you, Zelda.
Zooming Zelda.
Zoom Zelda.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursdays. We're very, very glad you're with us today. It is June 17th, 2021. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comments, name, and picture to appear. For those on Zoom, if you have questions, please just open up the chat box, put your questions right in the chat box. And for those on Facebook, you're welcome to enter any of your questions into the comment field. I am monitoring that feed, and I'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. We are going to review one or two resumes today live online. You're welcome to submit your resume using the chat box where you see that blue arrow. Just click on that and you should be able to select your resume. And you can just send it to Carol or you can send it to everyone, whatever you'd like to do. But please note, if you'd like to delete your header information before you do so, please remember that your information will be on Facebook and YouTube from here to eternity. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in their job search. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s, and I'll tell you about our programming coming up tomorrow at the end of this session. A very interesting program that you should try to attend if you can. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, a great way to practice your interview skills. And if you want information, we'll be posting something in the chat box about that in just a second. At the end of this session, we are going to be giving away a month of unlimited use of jobscan.co. Jobscan.co is a great way to compare your resume against a job description to see how many connections you have between the two. So at the end of the session, we'll be picking two winners. So hang with us to the very end, if you will. Our speaker today is Carol Brickell. She's a certified professional career coach. So Carol, thank you for being with us, and it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jeff, and thanks to everyone who's attending. And I will share my PowerPoint slides, put it into presentation mode. There we go. And I think somebody had expressed an interest in sending me their resume in chat. Please do that. You can send it just to me if you wish, and you can take off your contact information. That's everybody's favorite part of this session. During the first part, we'll talk about some content and guidance regarding resumes. But during the second half, we'll look at least one resume, maybe two. So please do share it. And we've designed this session to be very interactive. So please go ahead and open up your participant box. And I'm doing that and dragging it over to my other monitor and also opening up the chat box. And I see people are starting to network, which is great to do that. And to get people warmed up with chat, and since we're going to be talking a little bit about, we always talk about ATS systems, applicant tracking systems, but we will today especially. And I have a question for everyone. If you could think of a couple words or phrase to type into chat. What have you done to your resume to make it compliant with ATS systems? Those are the systems when you're applying online and submitting your resume online. Some of those systems get finicky if they run into special characters and such. So if you've ever done anything to modify your resume to make it ATS friendly, feel free to write a few comments into chat. Yay, and I've got them. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and share this, or not share, I'm going to save this resume that I just received, and we will share it later towards the end of the program. Okay, good. So thank you for sending that. And I'm not seeing if anybody's done anything to make their resume applicant tracking friendly. So, okay, somebody did type in some comments. Somebody said they added a summary section. I mean, that's important whether it's ATS or not. So good for you for adding that in. And the one that we'll be looking at today has been adjusted for the ATS. That's good. And then somebody said they've done the jobscan.co to see how good of a match they are. And that's great, because these applicant tracking systems are kind of scoring you. They're reading the data. And somebody said the resume is a bit crazy. Bulleting. Yeah, you want to have the default bullet points, not stars or chevrons or check marks or anything like that. Good. And somebody said they removed most of the formatting, any of the fancy things, tables, borders, underlines, and everything. So yeah, we'll talk more about that. And I'll explain my background, because when I do this session, I'll be sharing some ideas about resumes, and it's up to you to listen to the ideas. You can take what you'd like, and the ideas that don't work for you, don't worry about it. You don't have to apply all the ideas. I'm just sharing ideas based on my experience. And if you share your resume with different people, you'll get different opinions from everyone, because we've all had different experiences. So this is my background, so you can see the perspective that I'll have. I have 30 years of experience as a hiring manager looking at resumes and conducting interviews. And then I took early retirement from EDS/HP in 2012. And I gained 6 valuable years of experience as a recruiter, both in agency and corporate environments. And I've reviewed thousands of resumes, presented hundreds of them to hiring managers, and have placed people in a variety of different roles: accounting, finance, HR, especially types of roles. And like Jeff, I've been a volunteer for the Dallas Pit Crew to help people practice their interviews. The Pit Crew stands for Practice Interview Team. And we've put information about the Pit Crew in the chat box. I highly recommend, in addition to working on your resume, which can kind of help you get in the door, also work on your interview skills. That'll help you get the job. So the Pit Crew is a great place to do that. You just have to send your resume and the target job description to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and we'll set you up with a panel interview. And then also, I've been certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. So that's where I've gotten some of my background about the formatting and structuring of resumes. And I mentioned I had valuable experience working as a recruiter. And most recently, I actually retired from Next Step Recruiting in 2019, but I keep very close in touch with my recruiting buddies there at Next Step Recruiting. And they're always looking for accounting leaders, accountants, HR people, project management people. They have an IT division as well, but are mostly looking for programmers in that area. So if you don't have a good recruiter working for you, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can get you set up, whether you meet the requirements for one of these specific jobs or something else relating to HR, especially HR, finance, and accounting. It's a great idea to have 1 or 2 recruiters working for you to present your resume to hiring managers. So today we'll talk about applicant tracking systems and advice from one of our esteemed career coaches in the DFW area, Charlie Zinger, actually, regarding ATS compatibility. And then we'll talk about the concept of a one-page bio, master resume, and review some key components of the resume. And then we'll look at the sample resume that we've received. And we've received one today, and we'll take a deep dive into that one. And since we're doing the giveaway, I want to make sure to save time at the end for our giveaway for jobscan.co. So are you all ready to launch into the content? And we're going to go into this, and it's going to go fast. So I encourage you to put your phone aside, because you're going to miss what we're going to say. And each week it's a little bit different because we get different comments. So put your phone aside. Now, if you get a call from a recruiter or a hiring manager, take the call. But yeah, try to just focus with us, and we'll be sharing lots of information. Okay, these applicant tracking systems, when you're applying online, what they do is they read the data in your resume, and they parse that data and place it into a database. So your name goes in the name field, dates, job titles, phone number, all that information gets parsed and put into the database. And many of these systems get fouled up if there are any special characters or special formatting or double columns or things in your resume. So you want to keep it as clean as possible from any formatting. I even avoid doing underlines because an underline can goof up the letters, especially if it goes below the line. Some systems can read through borders, some can't. So I just go as clean as possible. And the template we'll be sharing with you today is just very clean of any formatting. And then also, especially with Workday, you don't want to put data in the header section of MS Word because it won't read that information. But be sure to align your keywords to the job description, as several of you mentioned at the beginning, and use the tool jobscan.co to compare your resume to a job description to see if you're 25% match or a 75% match. And you have to take it with a grain of salt a little bit because it's just a machine reading data. So, but it'll give you an idea. And then also in an ATS system, you have the opportunity to upload your resume as an attachment. And that's the version that the recruiter will click on and look at. So that one you may want to upload as a PDF, so it protects the formatting for you. The one that you upload to get parsed, it's best to do it in native Microsoft Word to do that. And then also, if you have the option to upload a cover letter, it's a good idea to do that. So then that way your application looks complete and the hiring manager can take a look at it if they wish, just kind of look at your writing style. And we do have a simple template that you can use. I don't recommend spending a lot of time on it because as a recruiter, I never read them, but I'm reading that about 60% of hiring managers sometimes do look at those. So especially depending on the type of role. So we'll upload a sample cover letter. Good. And then also several months back, I talked to one of my former colleagues at EDS who went to work for Workday, which has an ATS component in it. And a lot of companies are starting to use Workday. And I asked him for guidance about how Workday works and regarding uploading a resume. And sometimes the summary section can appear as your most recent employer. So Workday gives you the opportunity to look at the data to see how it got parsed so you can clean things up. And if your name, the header at the top of your resume says your name, comma MBA or comma PMP, that may get included in your name. So you may have to clean that up. And then the text in the header and footer won't get read, won't get parsed. So don't use the header or footer section. And then also live URLs on your resume get messed up with Workday specifically. So I just put in pure text for your email address and your LinkedIn URL. And then your match, as companies install Workday, they may also install some sort of third-party assessment. And that's the way the system will determine your ranking in all the applications. And many times when we would post job postings when I was doing corporate recruiting, we'd get 200 to 300 applicants, and they'd get sorted based on the ATS or maybe a third-party assessment. And then also the recruiters, we could go in and sort the data based on different criteria as well. So I thought that was interesting. So you will hear a variety of things about ATS systems. Probably everybody you talk to, you may hear something different. And I know that could probably be very frustrating. So I just recommend just kind of keep the big picture in mind and try to upload a resume that has no special formatting characters. And if you can, review the information that's been loaded. And then the most important thing is don't rely on the system. Contact a person. Because, and I'll pause a moment because several of you have probably heard this statistic. And if you have, go ahead and type a number into chat. But if you upload your resume and apply online and sit back and wait, what is your percentage chance you'll get called for an interview? If you know the answer to that, type it into chat, or if you want to guess an answer. When you apply online and sit back, what do you think your chance is of getting called for an interview? Yeah, the people that are entering numbers are right on target. And I'd read the statistic in some articles and I found it to be true in real life. it's about 2%. So it's virtually zero. So if you sit back and wait, and I can attest to that, because most of our job openings, especially when I was doing corporate recruiting, 1% is actually closer to my experience, because we would get 300 typically applicants. 90% of them were qualified. And I'd look at maybe the top 20 of them, and I might call the top 5 to 10 and invite in maybe 5 for an interview. So it's between 1% to 2%. So to make a difference and to increase your chances of getting called for an interview, I highly recommend, and I've read the statistic, if you reach out to a person, that can increase your chances to 50%. And when I say reach out to a person, here are some ideas. And if other people have other ideas, type them into chat. What person would you reach out to, at a company if you apply online? One option is to reach out to a first level connection, somebody you know through LinkedIn that works at that company, and say, hey, buddy, I just applied for a job at your company and I meet all the requirements, specifically this and this. I'd be grateful if you could forward my resume over to the recruiting team, and they can do that. But in addition, you want to apply online, and so that's good. And your buddy that works at the company might get a referral bonus for that. So you're not bothering people by doing something like that. You might be doing them a favor. If you don't have any friends or connections at the company, then another option is to reach out to the recruiter who posted the job. Sometimes, occasionally on LinkedIn, you can see the name of the recruiter who posted the job. And you can connect with them on LinkedIn and say, just applied for your blah, blah, blah position, requisition number, and I meet the requirements, specifically blump and blump, and say, I'd be happy to have a conversation. And that's music to a recruiter's ears to hear that you meet the requirements. And somebody said they look for an HR recruitment and a department employee. Yes. And sometimes they can share your resume over to the recruiting team. So definitely a recruiter. And the issue, though, just reaching out to any old recruiter, is you don't know if they're going to be working on your job opening or not. And most corporate recruiters are assigned 20 or 30 or sometimes 40 different job openings. And they are flooded. They are underwater. They are overworked. So reaching out just to any recruiter you may or may not get a response. If you reach out to the recruiter who posted the job, you probably will, and you let them know you meet the requirements, you probably get a response. If you don't know the name of the recruiter, I recommend going up a level to a recruiting or talent acquisition leader and reach out to them, because they have their head above water and they know which recruiters are working on which job openings, and they can get you to the right place. So, okay. Have you received any replies via LinkedIn messaging? Somebody's asking. Okay. Yeah, if you're reaching to somebody on LinkedIn, the key to reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn is give them a reason to reply to you. If you just say, hey, I just applied for a job, I'm really excited, they may or may not reply to you. But if you say, I've applied for your position and I meet the requirements, specifically, if they're looking for something really unique, specifically, I've been a project manager for SAP implementations or whatever that is, then that would probably increase the chances they would call you. Okay, good. And then here's some additional advice from our friend Charlie Zinger, who I worked with at EDS, and it's always wonderful to hear his presentations and his advice. And he had shared this with me as well from his perspective, that when you're uploading resumes into an ATS, Arial and Times Roman fonts are good. Also, Calibri is a good one. And no font larger than 14 points, no smaller than 9 points, and nothing embedded in footers or headers. And bullets should only be those round black bullets, no arrowhead, starburst, and only black color fonts. Yeah. And then no excessive bolding or underlining. Italics. I think italics can be read, but less is best. No icons, pictures, or graphics, and especially no photographs of yourself in a job application resume for legal reasons. Okay. All right, now we'll talk about the concept of a one-page bio. If anybody, and some people in this group may have a one-page bio, if anybody has one, type a sentence or so into chat regarding how you use your one-page bio, if you have one. Resumes tend to be, especially for professional people, tend to be about 2 or 3 pages. A bio is a one-page summary, and a resume really signals you're looking for a job. So if you send somebody a resume, they'll think, oh, they're looking for a job. But if you're just networking with somebody and trying to seek their advice, a one-page bio is a more gentle document that can be used. If somebody says they have a marketing plan, if you're willing to share your template or your example, feel free to do that in chat if you'd like to. Or offline, if you want to send me one that we can make so you're not recognizable, I'd be very interested in that in your marketing plan. Okay. Somebody said their bullets are diamonds and the resume works. Good. Yeah, and that's good. However, not all systems, maybe not all systems would accept diamonds. Okay. And then somebody says informational interviews and when meeting new people when they use a bio. Yes, that's great. So when you're reaching out to people, just asking for their advice, wanting to network with them, a bio is a great instrument to share. And I had looked online for formats and templates, and the ones I saw had a whole bunch of text in them, big long paragraphs, and I couldn't find one. And then one of my clients had one that was laid out like this, and so I asked him if I could use his format, and he let me do that. And so I just plugged my information into it so we could share it with people. And we'll share this as a sample template, and it's in Microsoft Word, so it's really easy to modify. But this is just one example of a one-page bio. Since this is a networking or kind of a social networking document, it's okay to include a photo, like you include a photo with your LinkedIn profile. And then you can put your areas of expertise, and you want to use words that recruiters would be looking for, or key areas of expertise for the type of job you'd be looking for. A brief description of your background, your professional biography, company names, dates, education, certifications, contact information, and then you can write little headlines about your major achievements in some of these areas of expertise that you have. So that's one version. And then Charlie has also used this kind of version. He calls it a sample handbill that has your brand positioning, your value proposition, perspective titles, and maybe your analysis of this prospective company. This is something that he's seen people use effectively. So this is just another option. And then I've heard people talk about marketing plans as well. And sometimes on those marketing plans, people list all their target companies. Now, if I'm just networking with somebody at one company, I don't know if I'd want them to see all the other companies I'm looking at. So I don't know about that, but that's why I'm interested to see. Ooh, there's a marketing plan template. Okay, I'm going to save that, and we'll pull that up a little bit later. Okay, thank you for sharing that. You sent it privately. Ooh, if you don't want me to share your marketing plan, send me a note. No, well, I won't share it if you don't want me to. If you do give me permission, type a note in the chat. And yeah, I won't share it. I'll only share it with your permission. Okay, good. And then the concept of a master resume, share. Okay, yeah. We'll take a look at it offline, and I might create my own version of one that I could share later. Good. So Jeff, would you like to share some thoughts about the concept of a master resume?
Well, the great thing about a master resume is you don't have to think about what you've done when you apply for a job, because you take all the resumes you've done. I'm sure you've got, I have a file folder of them from back when I first graduated college. And if you have a master resume, you've taken all that information, you've compiled it all together, you've got names of supervisors, addresses of the company, everything you've ever done, 10 or 15 bullet points at every job you've ever done. And then when you actually see a job, you take that master resume and you cut out everything that's not important. If they don't ask for it in the job description, you don't need to tell them about it. I'm sure everybody's done a lot of really great things, but just tell them what they want, because your resume is like a fishing hook. You're just trying to get them to call you. What can you say in your resume to go, I want to pick this phone call up and I want to talk to that person?
Right. Yeah, and I'm finding more and more of my clients in career coaching are creating a master resume and then creating very targeted resumes and customizing those for the jobs that they're applying to. So thank you for that. And so the characteristics of good resumes, you want to make it easy for those systems, the ATS systems, and then also the recruiting screeners to see that you're a great match for a job. Within a few seconds, you want them to look at it and go, yes, that's the type of person I'm looking for. Yep, those are the skills I'm looking for. They literally just spend a few seconds. So you want to make sure the formatting is very clean, easy to read, overall length. As I've talked with other recruiters and career coaches, 2 pages or so is the sweet spot for people that have been working professionally for a while. And number of years. I like to get people's response to this question. You know, I'm interested in how many years of experience do you show on your resume? And this is one of these things that's a personal choice. So we're opening up a polling questionnaire for those on Facebook Live. You can type in a letter. Good. And most people are doing B and C. Funny thing, when I was looking for a job at the age of 59, I used A, but I was networking with a lot of people that knew I'd been at EDS for a long time. So I just laid it out there. That worked for me, but not many people do that. Some people do. And B, option B, I saw a lot when I was a recruiter, and those resumes looked chalked off. And sometimes I would have a reaction from a hiring manager where they'd say, okay, where's the whole picture here? I feel like something's being hidden. I don't see the whole background here. And then also it would cause confusion in interviews when we would ask a question and somebody referred to companies that weren't on their resume, and it would just cause confusion. So I found hiring managers actually preferred option C, and I see more people use option C, where you focus on the most recent jobs, whether it's the most current 10, 15, or 20 years or so. And then you can have prior relevant experience. It doesn't have to be all the jobs. It could be key companies and titles you've had, and you don't have to put those dates on your resume. You know, in the job application and on LinkedIn, you would have to, but that's what hiring managers like, that because that way they can see the full picture. So that's just, my LinkedIn refers to prior experience not listed. Not sure if I know exactly what that means. If you could expand on that, that would be good. And then somebody said you could use option A for people who know you well. Yes, that's exactly what I did. Yeah, they knew my background. Okay, trying to get out of this box. And then somebody said, should you list all of your experience even if it's not relevant to the job description? You don't have to. On the other hand, if you're applying for a technical sales position and early in your career you're a programmer, you know, that's kind of cool to include that, because that really shows that you have those career building blocks. So kind of depends. So I'd recommend getting feedback from somebody you trust, a recruiter or career coach about that. Okay, good. All right. And then we will be talking about these key components of a resume: heading, summary, accomplishments, experience, and education and software. And then I'm looking at the comments in chat. Somebody has some prior AP warehouse inventory collections in addition to accounts receivable experience. So if that's valuable, you know, if you're applying for jobs where they're looking for all that well-rounded background or being knowledgeable about those areas, that could be helpful. Okay, so it kind of depends on the job you're applying for and what they're looking for. So getting into the resume formatting, at the top of your resume, you want a really good clean heading with your name and the contact information, and use the name you like to be called. It gets confusing when you use like your full formal name. Like my husband's name is Joel Edward Brickell, but in the workplace he was always Ed. So it's better just to use the name you like to be called on your resume and LinkedIn. It'll make it easier for those recruiters to work with you, remember you, and then they want to have to ask, okay, well, what do you want to be called? So that's something I've picked up recently that's important. And then you don't need to include your physical street address, just your closest major city that you're located, if that works in your favor. Now, if you want to move to Portland, Oregon, but you're living in Dallas, you may just want to leave that off, leave it off. Okay. And then your summary profile information. If you're a business analyst applying for a business analyst job title, put it front and center. If you're applying for a job title you've never had before, you may want to think about that, do it carefully. If you're applying for an HR VP position, but you've never been a VP of HR, you may just put HR leader. Like if you've only been an HR manager. So you don't want to falsify the information. So that sometimes takes a little bit of a conversation. And I recommend having just a very brief opening statement here, 2 or 3 lines. The recruiters may just read the first 5 or 6 words or not. And you want those first 5 or 6 words to be in the heart of the job that you're applying for. So in this particular situation, this person's applying for a job where they're going to be documenting business requirements. So just put that front and center, and then list all the other areas of expertise that they're looking for. Okay, good. And I've seen some resumes where they leave off this opening paragraph, go straight to the bullet points. You could do that if you wish. I think it looks a little unfinished and a little abrupt to do that. So that's a personal choice, I would say, on that. Okay, and then an optional section you can have is key accomplishments. And I see this a lot, especially for sales, business development, or other roles that require showing a track record maybe over several jobs of achieving targets, where you want to show that progression over several years of, like, for example, exceeding sales targets for 5 consecutive years. If you want to show that type of data, and if that's important for the job, you can put that in the key accomplishments section. And then under your professional experience, this is where the formatting gets very important. You want to reverse chronological order and make sure your verbs are parallel. Jobs in the past, verbs should be, all of your bullet points should start with powerful verbs that are highlighting your accomplishments. And those should be in the past tense. If you're currently working, most of your verbs might be in the current tense, but if you achieved something or completed a project, there might be 1 or 2 that are in the past tense. And then a lot of recruiters like to see a 1-line description of the company, especially if it's not a very well-known company, so that they can see the industry that you worked in. And please limit the number of bullet points per job, kind of like Jeff's point about the master resume where you list everything versus your targeted resume for a particular job. Focus on those accomplishments that are related to the job that you're applying to. 4 or 5 or 6 bullets is a good number. You don't want to have 10 or 15 bullet points. And you don't want it to read like a job description. You want to focus on results. Okay. And the way to focus on results is to look at your bullet points and ask the question, so what? And this 3rd bullet point here at the bottom, reduce data migration time. Originally, this bullet was written where the guy said he wrote some Visual Basic programs. And I said, so what? I mean, that's kind of neat that you did that, but what was the result? What was the outcome? And then when he thought about the outcome, he thought about some stronger verbs to use. So we actually reduced the data migration time and increased the stakeholder confidence by developing that Visual Basic program. So a fun thing to do on your resume is read through the bullet points and say, so what was the result? What was the outcome? And that might give you an idea of a stronger verb to use. And then this is one of our favorite things to illustrate. If you've had multiple roles at one company, please put the full time that you're with the company on the same line as the company name, and then the dates for the particular jobs you had at the company next to those job titles, rather than justifying all those dates. Because remember, recruiters are just scanning your resume. They're just glancing down it. And if they see all those dates to the right, they're going to think you were a job hopper, but really you weren't. You were in a company. I mean, that shows longevity. You stuck with it and even got a promotion. So that tells a much stronger story. Okay, good. Good. And then I see people are networking on chat. That's excellent. And when you're networking, if you have any target companies you're trying to target, include that in chat. You could write your name, job title that you're seeking, that you have experience in, and a couple of target companies, and everybody watch the chat. And if you see anybody that's trying to get in the door at a company where you know people, maybe you could help them out. So good for y'all for networking. And then also at the bottom of your resume, be sure to include your education and software skills, especially as they relate to the requirements in the job. And if you don't have a degree, you can write something like this. You can put the school, the city and state, and maybe the major, the area of concentration, and maybe the number of course hours. But don't say you have a bachelor degree if you don't have one. And this is one of my favorite graphics too, to illustrate a very important point. On the left, we have a job description. Let me do something here. There we go. Okay. On the left, we have a job description, and this is a job description for a business analyst position. And I highly recommend every time you apply for a job, study the job description, even just for a few minutes or a few seconds or a few minutes to look at the requirements. And usually the requirements for the job are at the bottom of the page. You especially want to study that to see if there's any specific methodologies that they're looking for or software packages. And if you've got that experience, be sure that those are listed on your resume. Like they're looking for Visual Studio, be sure if you've got that listed in your software skills. Methodologies, and if that's an area of expertise, put it front and center, and then also put it within your experience where you have that experience. And then also it's good to read the top part of the job descriptions too, the overall summary and the responsibilities, to get an idea of what they're really looking for. And here they're really looking for somebody who's innovative and can document business requirements. So put those words front and center. Those are key words. And then there's some other keywords they're looking for too, like flow charts and user manuals. Be sure if you've done those things, put those front and center. And I tell people, once you get used to doing this, it really should just take a few minutes, and it's worth your time, because sometimes when you study a job, you might decide, ooh, I don't really meet all those requirements. The title sounded good, but boy, they're looking for a data scientist that knows Python or something else. Maybe I shouldn't. And if I don't have that experience, maybe I shouldn't apply for that. So that's one of our favorite slides to show. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing and share that sample resume that we, let's see, sample resume. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up, and I have to do a new share. Takes its pulling up. New share. So we'll take a look at this, and hopefully you can see it okay. And what I'm going to do is scroll down through this resume, and thank you for submitting it. And we've got an opening summary. I'm going to kind of scroll down through it, and I'd like for everybody to look at that, look at the resume, and if you have any comments about it, any suggestions or things you like about the resume, feel free to type those into chat. And so I see there's a summary section, and I see some professional experience.
Good white space around the edges.
Yes, good white space. I do see a spacing issue there.
Yep.
My eye goes to that. So out of everything on the first page, that's what I remember. And you don't want to be remembered for formatting errors. So, okay. And there's a spacing issue there too. And too many bullet points. Okay, good, okay. It goes on to a third page. And sometimes, for some types of jobs, highly technical jobs, government jobs, and sometimes really detailed finance types of jobs, and HR leadership jobs, occasionally going onto a third page is okay. However, this one, I think we can reduce the number of bullets. So let's start at the top. Yeah, good clean header with your name, and then, now I don't know where Ormond Beach is. You might want to list the closest major city, or maybe people in, I don't know if it's Florida. Yeah,
that's Florida.
State, yeah. People might know where that is, but you probably want to put the closest city, state. And then also include your LinkedIn URL, but do it in text. And it looks like there's a spacing issue between these. That looks like a bigger space than that does between those, I think. So
yeah, you have to remember that recruiters are looking for a reason to throw your resume away. Okay, so if they see formatting issues, they go, the person didn't pay attention, gone. They look
Yeah.
at your email address and go, oh, I don't like that university email address, gone. You know, you're using an AT&T account and we're a Verizon company, gone. You know, just whatever.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, okay, I'm not quite sure.
I assume that you're looking for a position here at Delta Airlines. That's why you may have
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I would just leave that off. Even though you're trying to customize it for the job, you can mention Delta Airlines and why you want to work at Delta in your cover letter, but your resume should be just really all about yourself as a human resources business partner. And hopefully that's the title that you're applying to. And you open up by saying you're an experienced HR business partner. However, when I look at your most recent job titles, I don't see HR business partner. I see hearing programs, business analyst, and HR operations director.
It says business partner right there next to that, up a little bit higher.
Okay, there, yeah, okay. But I have to get to the second page before I see that. So I'd recommend shrinking up this job, less bullet points, and less bullet points on this one so that your HR business partner job appears on your resume, but you haven't done that since 2015. So you want to beef up the top part of your resume. Make this section maybe just 3 lines that explains who you are as an HR business partner in relation to what they're looking for on the job, and then list some areas of expertise. And hopefully, even as you did some of these other jobs, that you did some HR stuff, and it looks like you did. Okay.
You know, these first, oh, if you go back up for a second, you know, these first, oops, right there. These words can be deleted. Just start out with expertise in human resources recruiting program management. You know, when you read these kinds of paragraphs, read every paragraph and delete a word and go, does it still make sense without the word? Because you're trying to, what can you do to cut it down to exactly what they need? You know, data in this business strategist with years of strategic planning. I mean, you can just say years of strategic planning. I mean, you know, Dave, I don't know, whatever it is you can do to sort of, you know, save space. And I'm sure that hopefully those are all words that are in everything in that paragraph is stuff that's out of the job description.
Right, right. And then champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion / culture guru. I'm not sure grammatically about that. Okay. Now, if they are looking for somebody to be a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I would just stop there maybe. Okay.
I would get rid of the months. I don't think you need the months on there. Just put down 2017 to 2020. You want to make it clean. When you fill out an application, you can put the dates. You have to put the dates in, but you know, make it easy. Just you want to make it easy for the recruiter to go, okay, I understand, you know, where you're at here.
Yeah, it clutters it up unnecessarily to have the months in there. And okay, company name, okay, director, signed, implemented. Yeah, there are too many bullet points here. And you could probably ask the so what. You designed and implemented programs, consistent achievement, associate. So I'm not sure what that means. So I'd think about something. It sounds like you achieved 100% employee engagement, but I'm not quite sure what that means. Yeah, so think about your bullets and align them to the job, the HR job. And here you're a business analyst for 3 years. So you could probably really shrink this up, maybe just have 3 or 4 quick bullets because these aren't HR related. And try to get this job onto your first page. And looks like it might have been multiple jobs. So you may want to say HR and operations director, the dates you had that job, and list maybe just a couple of bullets, and then put HR business partner and the dates you had that job and list a whole bunch of bullet points. Okay. Okay. So here you have HR business partner in parentheses. Maybe you could have done that way up top. Okay. And then some of these older jobs, this could be potentially prior experience. Just list the company name and the title, customer relations. Okay. And then technology skills. Okay. Yeah, so recruiter wouldn't be able to read all that. They can't ingest that. And what I recommend is putting those areas of expertise at the top of your resume, but focus on the most critical 9 and space those out so that people can digest the most important ones. Okay. And then so these include these if they're critical for the job. So I'm not sure, like idle is probably not critical for an HR job. So I'm not sure about those. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some ideas. If you have any specific questions, let us know. If anybody in the audience has any suggestions, feel free to let us know. I think that's the only resume we have for today. So any other? Okay.
Well, Carol, thank you very, very much. You know, great information as always. If you'd like to connect with Carol on LinkedIn, you're welcome to do so. Here's what her LinkedIn profile looks like. Please, 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 she has a rule just like me, send a personal note. Always want to send a personal note whenever you connect with anybody on LinkedIn. Look for that blue connect button. If it's a white connect button, that means if you click on it, it's going to automatically send a generic request to connect. And when I get generic request to connect, I hit ignore. So you need to tell me you met me here at the Effective Resume Thursday, same with Carol, and we'll be glad to connect with you that way. If you'd like to get a sample, we put the sample. Oh, I tell you what, I have not put the resume in there. Let me include the resume right now in there for everybody. So we've included in the chat box on Zoom the resume, the one-page bio, and the sample T cover letter. For those on Facebook, or if you were not able to get those, you can send me an email at resume@careerdfw.org, and I will be glad to send that to you. I know I've had people who watch this video on YouTube after the fact, a week or 2 later, and they go, oh, can you send those to me? So just let me know what you're looking for, and I will reply back and get those to you. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 5 days a week. Hopefully you'll join us. We've got a lot of really great information we're putting out there. Tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we talked a little bit about the one-page bio and the difference between a bio and a resume. Well, tomorrow our speaker, Minna Brown, is going to talk about the one-page bio. This is the book that she wrote called Be Sharp. It's an excellent book. It's her and her co-writer wrote it. And it's all the second half of the book is all about the one-page bio. It's a great book, and the information she'll present tomorrow about how you use a bio, why you should have a bio. To me, a one-page bio is more effective than a resume. I think you'll get more use out of a bio than you will on a resume any day, because the object of looking for a job is to network, and you need a networking document, and that's going to be a one-page bio. We also have a women's group that meets the first and third Fridays of the month. They meet tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you'd like to be in, it is by invitation only, Women of Wisdom. You need to send an email to wow@careerdfw.org for the to be invited. So that invitation will come out. So just send an email to www.careerdfw.org. They're trying to keep the group down to 20, 25 people just so that it doesn't, there's a lot of interactivity, and if there's too many people on the line, it's a little too much. So you can join if there's space available. Next Monday, we're going to talk about networking 101, just basic networking. So join us. We talk about networking every Monday. Next Tuesday, LinkedIn search engine optimization, how to make sure your LinkedIn profile will be found, can be found. So it's a really good presentation by Ruth. She modifies it every month when she presents it with the latest and greatest information that's out there. And then this coming next Wednesday for Interviewing Wednesday, we'll be on session number 8 of 13, how to ask questions in the interview. Sessions 1 through 5 were all about preparing for an interview. Sessions 6 through 10 are what to do during an interview. So how do you ask questions during the interview? How many do you need to have? How do you show it and everything like that? So join us this Wednesday at 1 o'clock. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career FW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for you to view. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. On the YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Be sure to click on playlist, and then what will come up at the very bottom, you'll see the list that I've put together. There's resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting. So you can find all that, and then don't click on the video. I do that every time I go there, but click it down below where it says view full playlist, because then up will come a list of all the different events from the newest event on top that you can go back and watch any of the videos that are there from any of the groups that we've presented. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join our mailing list, you're welcome to send an email to Career USA, the +sign, subscribe@groups.io. You will not be spammed, but what you will get every day is the topic of the day, the title of the talk, and the Zoom link. So you don't have to sit there and figure out and try to look for the Zoom link. You'll get that every day in your emails. So if you're not getting it from someplace else, you're welcome to join our group. Okay, it's time to give away an unlimited use of jobscan.co for 1 month. We need you to pick a number between 1 and 100. The 2 closest numbers, please put them in the chat box or the comment field on Facebook. The 2 closest numbers without going over. We're playing the Price is Right rules. So pick a number between 1 and 100. Actually, don't pick 1. So pick 2 and above, maybe 3 and above. Something between that and 100, and the 2 closest numbers will be our winners. Anybody else want to play? Give a little countdown here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. The winning number today is 72.
Ooh.
So Elizabeth and Eddie. Elizabeth and Edie. Elizabeth
yes.
and Edie, 61 and 66. If you will, please put your email address into the chat box so that I can copy that, and I will get you added to the list. This will be for the month of July. So you'll get an email the 1st of July with information on how to log in. So please put your email address for Edie and Elizabeth into the chat box, or you can just send it to me, whatever is easiest, so I can make sure that we get you invited. All right. Please remember, Career FW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Carol's a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do any of this over the last 13 years. Career FW survives on donations. It helps pay for Zoom. It helps pay for the web names, the web hosting. Please consider making a donation when you get your next job so that we can continue to provide the services that we provide to everyone else. So thank you for joining us today. And if you need that email address on how to join the mailing list, there it is right there. So thank you very much, Carol. Thank you once again.
Okay.
And Elizabeth, we're still looking for your email address.
Jeff, can you put out there the address for where to make our donations?
Just go to Career DFW and click on donations.
Oh, okay.
So you'll find there's two ways to do it. Either you make a donation via US mail, or you can send it in via PayPal. So both ways are on the website.